right, Jason Roma back here in the JConcepts garage. Today we got AJ Marasco, and we're talking exclusively today about drag racing. And AJ, was a little over a month ago or so, we got the brand new DR10. We did an unboxing video. We went out and we did some driving with the car, and you had your other drag car. And this is something you've been kind of experimenting with for a while now. Take us back to when you kind of got into this and when you saw that it was something that you kind of wanted to take part in.
It was fun. I originally got into the B6 SC6 chassis conversion, kind of playing around with that for a little bit, and then the DR10 kind of hit, and I was like, wow, this is definitely going to be a game changer here. So I got that car, and it was just instantly, because I was fighting with a lot of setup with the other car. It takes a little bit more knowledge with doing the racing stuff, and once I got this car, I started playing with that one a little more, and my times were like instantly faster. I was like, okay, well now we have kind of a race car here, and ever since that started going and I got my speed up, it's pretty addicting.
So we happen to have here at the shop, we had some of these Traxxas scoring systems, the timing device that they made several years ago for their drag racing stuff. And we brought this thing out, and you've been using this quite a bit with your buddies to kind of get prepped and start to dial in on the cars. And you've been really good at using this system to try to get better. And for people that maybe don't have that, or maybe something that what's it like being actually on the clock?
It's actually a lot different. It's not, you're not going out there and just running your car up and down the strip. You're actually getting a full time, your reaction time, your 132 foot time. It's kind of nice being it that way. Like, I can't even go run my car outside without having it hooked up, because it's just like, it's pointless.
Yeah.
I need to like set the time. My car doesn't take off. Well, guess what? I feel better because I have the time set.
So and this has allowed you to kind of dial in the car a little bit more. I mean, with having this system, is you go to a consistent place where it's like a no prep type of surface, and you set up the timing system, and you're able to make changes to the car. You make passes, and you said you got maybe 100 passes on this thing?
At least 100 passes. I'm out during the week, probably 3 to 4 days a week, just after work, and just putting in the time and just making pass after pass, just trying everything, timing, gearing, just going after it.
So, your car is in front of us here, and before we get to, some of the more the racing you've been doing and stuff like that, we'll talk about kind of the step from taking the car out of the box, which we did, and we ran it, and it was a lot of fun. And you've been tweaking on this thing. You've been finding things to do to make it quicker. Obviously, you're on the clock. And talk to us about some of the little things you've been changing. I mean, obviously you went electrical, battery, Trinity setup. So talk to us about that and what you've been upgrading on the car electrical wise.
I first went ahead and took out the ESC motor and receiver and battery. Left the servo still stock. It's kind of nice having that like slow dummified servo. That's kind of nice for super easy on the car for going down the track. And then for the ESC wise, I went with the Tekin RX-8. I read the specs on it. It seemed pretty heavy duty for what we're trying to do, and it's kind of reliable so far. And I added the 4 capacitors on it just for safety. The Trinity whole shot drag 4-turn. I tried the 3.5, and I keep going back to the 4-turn. It seems like plenty of power. It's got plenty of bottom and makes more RPM, I feel like, on top. And the Trinity drag pack, or the whole shot drag pack, which is 220C bursts. It's pretty insane.
And a lot of these things packed in here. I mean, 4-wheel drive off-road, we don't really get under a 5-turn unless maybe they're a little bit on carpet or something like that. But we're really getting into some serious modified low-turn motors again. For a while, I mean, you've done a ton of 17.5 racing, but now we're racing drag racing where you run a 4-turn motor, but it's kind of like giving a whole new boost and a whole new energy to modified motors again.
Oh yeah, I've never seen, like, everyone's coming out with drag motors now. Like, every company's got a special drag motor. It's crazy.
And and like you said, you went with the Trinity. They got their own, the whole shot version, right? And then this battery pack. What's special about the battery? You mentioned a few things, but what's special about this particular battery?
This battery's it's a higher C rating, and I noticed the IRs when charging it, not even like cycling or anything. I charge it one day, I got a brand new pack, and just run it, and every time I charge it up, it's like 1.0 resistance total. So it's 0.5 per cell, which is pretty insane without discharging, doing crazy charging. I'm just running, come home, top it off, and that's it. It's pretty crazy how it is, and the power it does have. My car does handle a lot different with this pack versus the regular normal 100C pack.
And before we get into the suspension, we'll talk a little bit about the weight, because one thing, you come in and you're placing weights all over this thing sometimes and trying to get that weight in the front. Mm-hmm. What's the situation in terms of why you're weighting it down and why are you putting weight in certain areas?
With the power I'm putting down, I'm able to put it down pretty fast, and it's just keeping the front end down track, because middle of the track, the car likes to kind of do a power wheelie, and it will take flight.
So when you're going with the weight, you're adding it directly right in the front, and you're not really putting any in the rear.
Nope, that's got plenty of grip off the line, because I can, if I don't have any weight on the front, the thing will launch and just wheelie right away.
Yeah. So in terms of kind of assembling everything, we're going to get into the suspension a little bit, and you still have really the kit shocks on here. Mm-hmm. And what have you kind of briefly changed in the fluids and the travel, and to make this thing just a little bit better?
We'll start with the rear shocks first. Rear shocks, I didn't touch anything with the travel at all. I'm just still pretty standard stock. I did go to 4,000K in the rear for diff oil for shock oil. I've been playing with 4,000 or 5,000. 4,000 kind of fit for my tracks down here. And then the front, I did limit the shocks a little bit. I have 6 mil internally, 13 externally, and with 1,000 weight oil. But everything else is, I kind of left the eyelets the same, just put limiters in the shocks, and same springs, same locations on the arms and towers, and that's really it.
So for me, hearing these shock oil numbers, it just sounds crazy. Mm-hmm. To be in this, that realm of weight oil. But what's happening when you're driving? And you've obviously ran a lot of passes, but what's happening when you're getting this thing a lot thicker? How's the car reacting to it?
What we do is we set up a slow-mo camera. So I would set my phone up on the ground, and we watch the car launch. And what the car does is initially squats for like a millisecond, and then starts extending. So what we're doing with the thicker oil is slowing the rate of the shock down, so it's not super fast or too slow. That's where I found the 4,000 work a little bit better than the 5,000. Obviously, vice versa for the lighter stuff.
So when you're accelerating, you get that initial squat, when we talk about an off-road racing, but in this, then there's a point where it starts to rise back up because maybe the tires are expanding.
Yep.
The suspension comes back up. So you're trying to slow that down?
Yeah, we're just trying to slow the shock down from hitting the tire too hard or not hitting it hard enough. Mm-hmm. Is what we're trying to do. And just trying to find that right balance to put the power to the ground so we're not having a wheel spin.
So going into the transmission, the car comes with a gear diff. Mm-hmm. And what have you done inside the gear diff? Obviously, we talked earlier, you're still the same gears. You got the same plastic idler, bottom gear, metal top shaft like normal. Mm-hmm. You have a slipper on it. There's a lot of people that say, oh, you need a eliminator or whatever, but you're still running the slipper. And how about the diff oil?
Diff oil, I tried 100K and 200K. I'm just running. I found 200K to be the best, as in still easy to drive, but I can put the power down. The 100K was way easier to drive, but you lost all your speed. So 200K in the diff, and then I did change the bearings out.
Okay. Yeah, just going with a little bit higher quality bearing, I would assume. Mm-hmm. And then on the slipper itself, explain, when we went out to the race, we'll talk about that, but guys are adjusting these slippers a lot out there. What do you think is the advantage of having it and setting it right?
It just all depends if the track's sticky or not. That 2 weeks ago at the Garlits race, the problem we were having with the starting line and the way the track was prepped, it was a fresh surface, and there was, from the foam tire guys, that had this special sauce on, so trying to find that right spot in the track was kind of tricky. It was super hot out, so it wasn't sticky, it was kind of slimy, so we had to back our slippers off to get the car to roll out, and then we can kind of that's when we'll mess with her tune a little bit more. But yeah, getting off the starting line was a big thing that weekend.
And having that adjustability was obviously key, right?
Oh, for sure.
So the next step, we'll talk about the tires, because obviously these things won't go without the tires. And even when we did our testing video, our unboxing, we went with the JConcepts, obviously the hotties all the way around. Here, you have your car set up coming off of your no prep practice test and tune. We have your prep tires here, but so far, and you've ran them all. You've went through a lot of our different compounds. We've tested stuff. What are you running, and what do you like as sort of your go-to right now?
My go-to right now is just the golds. I mean, they work on prep, no prep so far, and they've been awesome.
And we got the Tactic wheels on here all the way around. You did a little bit of Sharpie highlighting here, which has been popular around people doing this. But so going back into the rear tires, because that's really the critical one.
Yeah.
Closed cell foam, doing anything special inside, or are you just kind of mount and go?
The only thing I've done is nothing to the inserts. I did put 4 holes on the inside of the tire just to let the air out equally, and that's about it. I just glue the rubber.
I see a lot when people talk about these cars is they'll take their tires and they show you pictures like this, and they're like, oh, I went through them too fast, or they're not wearing even, or they're having issues. But I mean, I'm looking at your tires right here, the ones you ran on the prep track at Garlits, the one you're running in practice, and I mean this wear is straight across. It's very even, not real patchy. So is there anything you're doing to keep them looking like this, or is this just strictly when you're running in a time situation, you're making a pass? What are you doing to kind of keep the tires preserved and like raceable? So
honestly, nothing. I've kind of almost bashed them, and they still look awesome. Like, we even no prep will run, make a pass, or come back, charge a battery, and go right back out. Don't even clean them. They're nothing. And then on the prep stuff, I kind of I'll save a little more time, run, come back. I never even cleaned them.
And one of the things I was going to say too is, what is your, I don't know if this is more of a ritual or anything for going up to the line and doing a burnout. I mean, the first thing I see when people do is they tell you that they don't, but I know people are grabbing these cars by the wheelie bar and they're just, burning these tires up as much as they can. But what is that you found so far? What is the process or your technique going to the line and doing a little burnout to kind of just make you feel like you're up to temperature?
The best, the best thing I found for the burnout is using the carpet. I've tried asphalt before, but I've been faster on carpet. I would kind of feel out the car. I'd kind of set the car down, lift it up a little bit by the bars, and kind of just slowly get into the throttle. Not full throttle, just a little bit to get the even tire so that the tire doesn't expand, and just kind of hold it there for about, I'd say like 7-8 seconds, and then that's it. I think they're pretty good. So,
and what I'm hearing when you're saying this is, there's some people that I've seen that go out there and they'll go ahead and, they'll run this car up and they'll hold it up far. Yeah. So the tires, it starts to expand and it starts touching the ground, but, they're like getting it like this.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from you is you're getting this thing up to speed, but you kind of want to warm the whole tire up.
Mm-hmm.
And keep it in sort of the range that it's not blowing up and getting all out of shape. You're trying to get the tire a little bit warm, and 7 to 8 seconds, that's kind of a short burst.
Yeah, I kind of want the whole tire, because if you do one section will grow more than obviously the whole tire, so it's not going to be consistent when you're going down the track. It's nicer having that whole profile kind of the same heat. That way the tire reacts the same across the whole thing.
So there's obviously a technique here that can be used, I think, that really works well, that's really easy on the equipment, and then gets you down the track the same way every time, or at least you hope the same way every time.
I just try to keep everything consistent, and if it works, then I'll just keep everything the same and then just get through the race.
So last part of the equation here, we went bodies.
Mm-hmm.
You started off with the Mustang because your dad has the Mustang. Mm-hmm. Looks good. One of the better ones, our 91 Mustang. Then you went over to the 66 Chevy Nova. And these are the two bodies that you've ran. You've ran some others in testing, but those are the two you've kind of competed with, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Do you have any differences that you notice between them, or what you're kind of preferring at the moment?
Prefer at the moment is the 66. It seems pretty mild. Compared to the Mustang. The Mustang does have a lot of downforce, so I'd kind of have to set my car up a little bit different. So I'd probably take all the weight out of the front, because I'd watch the car leave, and about 10 feet out, it'd start digging the nose down because of how much downforce that front end provides. It's pretty insane. Like, if I want to start testing with that more down the road, I'd like to get another car and kind of set that one up for that body and see if I can get it to work.
So, so far those are the two bodies you're using, but they're both like drop fits right on this chassis, so there's not a lot you have to do to get them on here, right?
Nope, not at all. Just after drop fit them, I'll just move some stuff around and try them.
In terms of rear wings, we've done some experimenting here. We've talked to the undercover guy with the drag wings. We've used some of that stuff, but what are you noticing with the rear wings, and are they helping, and what size do you think so far has been a good combination?
They actually make a big difference. I'd add rake to the rear wing to get a little downforce, and then I've been taking it out. Right now, for my liking, I've been taking the rake out of it because of how bad my power wheelies are right now. So trying to figure that out. And then the side dams do make a big difference with stability down track, because right towards the end of the track, it starts to move around pretty big. When you're going 59, 60 miles an hour, it makes a big difference. So
a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned we went to one of the very first, I think, the RCDRL race. Was up near Ocala at Don Garlits Museum. And I'd never been there before, but it's only 45 minutes from here. And obviously it's a big collection of real drag racing. You got Don Garlits, of course, lives on property, and he was nice enough to let the RCDRL guys run an event there. And, the guys have been to the Super Nationals before. We debuted some products there with them, but this is the first event in Florida. And, I was really pleased with the turnout I saw out there. And they had a little bit of every class. I saw a little bit of everything, and obviously it was a brutally hot day being in Florida here. But what was your experience going out there and running the car?
Honestly, it was a really fun experience. Definitely a different crowd than normal or off-road races. Very pleased with how everything ran for even a fresh opening track. Everything ran super smooth. We were out of there by 5 o'clock. Awesome facility for sure with parking. It's super nice to be on that property right off of 75. But overall, the racing went great. Everything kept in a flow. They had a schedule set. Super nice people that ran it. I got to meet Mike, and super cool dude, and he's so passionate about it, and that's what makes it awesome. And when you're super passionate about this series and this racing, it makes it a lot funner.
Well, the first thing that stuck out to me is, you'll see these videos on Facebook and Instagram of people running their cars, and you see them take off, and they're and they're doing their passes. And the first thing I realized right when I got there is like, wow, they have an outside wall and a center line and another outside wall, and then the full Christmas tree light. And I was like, now all of a sudden everything was so much different, because you had to stay in the confines of your lane. And you couldn't get outside of your lane. You rub the wall, DQ, you go over the center line, same thing. So what was it like for you getting in those confines of actually having a lane to run in? And you don't get to just run 1,000 times. You're up. It's like a race where you have a qualifier, and then you're in the bracket racing. So a little more pressure, right?
Oh, a little more pressure, but it kind of reminds me of the real drag strip when we go. So it's kind of the same. Even when testing, like, we'll go and I'll try to stay in my own lane. But so I wasn't too nervous the first time there, but it's a lot nicer having the center line, the walls, and everything to keep everything more, more defined when you're going down. So.
Well, to me, what it is now it's another factor. Not only do you have to, have a car capable of going down, but now you have to stay in your area, because now there's a lot of control that comes into it. You can't just burn over and S all over the place and get down there. Now you're in the confines of your lane, and if you don't make that happen, you're out. So it sounds like the race went well for you. You got second overall in the finals, and you seemed like you were getting a little better each time, and you're staying consistent, eliminating guys. But what was that full experience like, and are you ready to go back?
Oh, I'm for sure ready to go back. I can't wait. I know there's a no prep racing this weekend, and I'm like so excited. Like I want to go so bad. Like, can it just be now?
Yeah. So, and then not only were we racing these, but what I noticed is there's all these other classes out there, and I mean, I was just blown away at how fast some of these other classes were. I know I met a lot of people out there that I've actually met before, off-road racing, people that I've known a long time. And what was it like watching some of the other cars and their foams? They got the sticky tire traction. They're running the foam tires, and their power is just insane. One guy out there I see got 110 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. And what was it like watching some of the other classes and kind of taking in the other, just besides this?
I'm really interested in getting a pro mod. Even my dad said the same thing. He goes, "Hey, we need to get one." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." Yeah. But it's crazy. Those things are very more particular. If your car's off by like a tick or a mil or anything like that, it'll go one way or the other. So, and they're going pro mod, I think is a little more finicky, and there's things go 105, I think 100, 103, 105. Mm-hmm. But those take everything. Like they're measuring tires, they're measuring their chassis, how they prep their tires because they roll it through the stuff, and it's definitely more challenging, but I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would be a nice two-class thing. You could have this one, which to me is this is the one that I think is bringing a lot of interest. It's bringing a lot of fun. But then we have some other classes out there that it seems like people are going to get interested in just because of the raw speed.
Mm-hmm. This is a very nice entry-level kind of car. It's kind of nice to get the DR10 for like 300, 319, what it is, and it gets you right out there and you get to see everything. It's kind of awesome.
All right, well, thanks for joining us here in the JConcepts garage. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and ring that bell. And good luck here to AJ, and we'll see you soon. And thanks for checking us out.